Let's be honest, most go-to-market teams are drowning in data but still starving for insights. You have got your leads stored on a CRM, say like a Salesforce or a HubSpot. You have your sequences running on tools like Instantly, Salesloft or so, and you have your revenue targets in a random Google sheet. And this collection of numbers isn't a strategy. Because when it comes to answering questions like which channel is actually driving revenue, which SDR is performing best, where is the funnel breaking, the answers are not clear. That's because this data is scattered, messy, and not built for analytics. In this video, we are moving past basic reporting and I'm going to show you how to build a GTM analytics dashboard in Tableau, which is a data analytics tool. Step by step, so you can track performance across SDRs, channels, and your entire funnel. Therefore, to begin with is to start with exporting the data from your direct source. Say you have your data stored on CRM or on a Google Sheet, but that data is either unstructured or it has a lot of irrelevant fields when it comes to analysis. In our case, say we have this export file from CRM and we see that there are a lot of things that are irrelevant. So the first step that we take is to organize that data. And for building this dashboard, we have structured that data into 4 key tables, wherein we have the lead section that shows as to every single lead that has entered our system. We have the activity section that shows what actions were taken by the SDRs. We have the funnel section that shows how the leads have progressed. And then finally, we have the revenue section which shows what actually converted. Now, each table serves a clear purpose, and more importantly, they're connected using a common key like the lead ID, as you can see here. And that is exactly what makes the analysis possible. Now, consider that we have structured the data. That's step 1, that is done. The next step, and honestly the most important one, is defining your key metrics and how are they calculated. Because Tableau as a platform will only visualize what you are defining. And before jumping into the calculations bit, what you need to do is you need to define an objective. So you need to ask yourself, are you optimizing for meetings or pipeline or for revenue? In our case, today we are saying that the objective is to improve pipeline generation and SDR efficiency. So to define those key metrics, first comes the KPIs, wherein we are mapping 4 important things. We have the leads, we have the meetings booked, the opportunities, and the revenue. Leads tell us as to how many unique leads have been generated over a period of time, how many meetings have been booked with those leads. In terms of opportunity, as to what leads have progressed to a much further stage, and revenue tells us what is the exact deal value. Next up, we have the efficiency metrics. This is where we are defining real GTM data points that will give us insights, like meetings per activity that tells us how many meetings are done versus how much activity is taken. Okay. Then comes lead to meeting conversions. There are then other channel-wise conversion rates that we can calculate. And these metrics tell you not just what is happening, but why is it happening. Finally, see, now we have defined our data. We have structured it. We have our key metrics in place as to what all things do we want to calculate. And for calculating these things, what you need to do is you need to add basic simple Excel functions I have shown over here. And let's quickly move on to how this works on Tableau. So the first thing when you log into Tableau is you need to add a data source. So what you can do is I can click over here and add that data source by uploading your Excel file or a Google Sheet. Once that upload is done, you will see on the left hand side over here that there are 4 sheets that we had created mentioned. On the right hand side on the top that you see over here is a data connection diagram, wherein we are going to have the lead as the center point for everything, every connection that gets made. So when I drag and drop leads over here, as you can see, it gets stored over here, and then I can drag and drop the other things as well. As you can see over here, the connection that I have made over here, lead to funnel, is based on the lead ID itself because that's a common connector. Same thing has been done for revenue. But when I talk about activities, now activities is something where we are not having lead as or lead ID as a data point. Over here, what we are looking to connect is how many activities were done versus how many leads were generated. So we are going to connect the activities done by SDR versus the leads that are allocated to that SDR. So the connection over here becomes different. Finally, once this connection gets done, we need to start by creating our data modules. Now for Tableau as a platform, you cannot just directly start by dragging, dropping different data points and creating the dashboard. What you need to do is you need to define and create every single module. So say for example, when we spoke about the KPIs, what we did over here is that we had defined that KPIs. So say leads is something that I want. So what I started with is taking the leads count from the lead section over here, and I have that over here. Next are the meetings. So I had defined the meetings over here. So I don't have a count of meetings anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a calculated field to get the meetings. Now, how can you add calculated fields is you can go to analysis over here and you can click on create calculated field. Now I click on that one, I have to name the calculated field, and second over here I have to enter the formula. So I'll just show you how was that exactly defined. So over here in meetings, as you can see, I have counted the stage that shows that meeting booked is there, and then I have tagged it with the lead ID that gives me that 184 meetings were scheduled or 184 meetings were done. Similarly, we create the fields for revenue and opportunities as well based on the stages. Finally, say once we have this created, comes the most important part as to define beyond KPIs what are the different sort of views that we want to create in terms of say the chart or graphs that we want to show. So as I mentioned, one of the objectives that we are focusing on is improving the pipeline. So the first view that we would want to design is the funnel view that visualizes the leads, meetings, opportunities, and revenue, and helps us immediately identify the drop-offs. So what we have done over here in terms of visualizing the different stages is we have simply added stage in the rows and we have counted the lead ID from the funnel. So this gives me an idea as to for every stage that is either lead created, meeting booked, or that going forward to opportunity phase, or is it a closed one. Then we have bifurcated the source into inbound and outbound. Since we would want to even analyze that what is the sort of output that we are getting by running outbound campaigns versus inbound campaigns. So that's exactly what we have highlighted over here. Moving forward, the next can be the SDR Performance Table. Now this shows us who is effective versus just active. So for the SDR performance, what we have done is we have tried to identify that for every SDR, what is the activity that they did versus how many leads that they have got, the meetings that they have done, and how many opportunities that they have generated that can get converted to give us that particular deal value. And eventually we have even calculated the SDR efficiency. Now the most important thing while setting up this table on Tableau over here in this particular sheet is one to define what are the measures that you want to add in column and rows versus how do we want to represent this data. So what I have done is we have taken measure values as a whole. So as you can see over here on the left hand side, every hashtag that is there, that is a measure. And whereas every other letter or where you see EBC mentioned, that is a text field, and then there is a data field. So this is the data format. What we have done is we have taken the measure values as part of our details or marks, and we have taken the measure names as part of our columns and SDR in terms of rows. So we want to build a table over here. Finally, what we have done is we have only taken those values that we want to show over here to finally give us in that particular format. Next comes the most important thing, that is channel performance, wherein we are going to compare across different channels what is the volume of outreach that is getting done and what is the conversion that we are getting. In this case, we have these three charts created, wherein one in the rows we are mentioning the channels through which the outreach gets done. And in terms of the columns or the three tables, what we are seeing is the leads, the meetings, and the revenue. So as you can see over here, we can clearly see that through website, we are getting a lesser number of leads coming in flow. But when you talk about LinkedIn ads, that's wherein say we are spending more, we are getting in more leads, but the revenue conversion is low. So this sort of a chart instantly gives us a way to analyze the channel and gain insights from it. Moving on, once we have say analyzed all of this, we can add in the filters that we want. And finally, what we are going to do is we are going to see how do we analyze the trends as well. So for the same, what we have done is one of the parameters that we saw was we want to analyze the activity versus meetings for every SDR. So we have created a scatter plot wherein we are mapping the activity done versus the meetings, and we are using the revenue as a parameter to see which SDR has been able to generate a higher amount of revenue. So say for example over here we have SDR 1 which has done 32 meetings, and we have SDR 3 that has done 36 meetings with more outreach. But when I see the revenue total, over here, the SDR 1 is able to generate more revenue in comparison to SDR 3. When it comes to finding out which SDR is performing good, SDR 1 is performing better, not because, say, they have a higher revenue, but they have a better efficiency as well. Then when we want to say map the daily performance of our SDRs in terms of the activity and the meetings, we can even create that by using a line chart. Again, the concept over here is very simple, that whenever you want to create these charts or these modules, you just have to define which columns and which rows you need to represent over here or you want to visualize. Once that is done, you just need to format it to look as per the way you want to showcase. So this includes, say, changing the color, adding labels over here, changing the fonts. This all you can do over here from this particular section in the marks section, where you can add the label, you can change the color, theme altogether. You can add details if you want to. You can add filters in terms of, say, you want to see for any particular SDR, then you can even create that filter. So this is how we have created two of the most important parameters over here, that is our activities and the trend lines. Then finally, when it comes to building the dashboard, all we have to do is we just have to add these sheets that we have created on the dashboard and place it the way we want it to look. So as you can see over here on the top, we have our KPI section that directly highlights the key metrics in terms of how many leads were generated over time, how many meetings out of those we got, what is the revenue that we have generated, and how many active opportunities do we have. We have the funnel chart that shows how the funnel actually looks like right now, which we can further define with the conversion percentages as well. You have the channel performance, the SDR performance, and on the right hand side, we have the trends that are highlighted. So this is how you can create a complete GTM analytics dashboard right from scratch with raw data, starting with organizing it, defining the key metrics, setting the objective, and then building it on a platform like Tableau. So this was about it. And if you found this, trust me that a lot of teams in the GTM space face this problem, and the reality of not getting the outreach or not getting the results is not because of the inefficiencies, but because of poor tracking or no visibility into funnel or lack of clarity in terms of what's actually going wrong. So this is how you can solve those. And if you found this useful, please do like and share and subscribe to our channel for more such videos. And thank you so much for watching this one.